Okay. Hello, viewers, and welcome to iMPACT on Clevenard TV in Diaspora. My name is AJ Oba. I'm your host today. And this evening, we are going to have a very important discussion on investment. And we have a guest on board this evening by name Honorable Collins Nweke. But before we go there, I would like to urge our viewers to log on to www.clevenard.com to sign up and be part of this program. Okay, here we go. This evening we'll be discussing a very important subject that has to do with commerce, with investment, and we have an accomplished gentleman in the house, a politician, I would say a power block in the house, a Nigerian-born Belgian citizen, for that matter. He will be taking us through this evening as I'll be posing some important questions to him, expecting answers from him this evening. So I hope he will be able to do justice to the questions I have on board for him this evening. So we have this evening Honorable Nweke on board. Honorable Collins Nweke is a Nigerian-born Belgian politician of the Green Party. He was sworn in for a third term of office on 2nd January 2019 as Councillor for Social Affairs in the government of Mayor Bart Tomelin. I hope I called it well. At the Ostend City Council in West Flanders Province in Belgium. So we have him today, and he is also the director of Belgian Luxembourg Nigeria Chamber of Commerce, BLN. We have him this evening. He's going to be taking us through on why they want to invest in Nigeria, how he would love to bring investors to Nigeria. And that's a very important subject. I'm very interested, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say this evening. So, Honorable Collins Nweke, can you tell our audience who is Honorable Collins Nweke?
Well, Honorable Collins Nweke is the person you have just described. I do not know that I have anything further to add, other than that I am also a husband, a proud and engaged father of two young adult sons, and equally very important to mention, a very proud grandfather of a 2-year-old grandson. So for the rest, I think you've done justice to introducing me.
Thank you, Honorable Nweke, and welcome to Clevenard TV. I'm very glad to have you on board this evening. In fact, I feel like a proud Nigerian at this moment to see a Nigerian-born Belgian and a politician for that matter, the first Nigerian politician to be elected into office in Belgium. That's credible enough. Kudos to your elbow. Okay, this evening, the first question I'll be posing to you is as follows. Now, you are the first non-Belgian-born person to be elected to political office in West Flanders. What does that mean to you?
Well, thank you, SJ, for having me. Essentially, I'm not different from, my forerunners. I mean, those who had been in this space before me, and I'm talking of, ethnic minorities, not just Nigerians or not just Africans, but the entire group of non-Belgian-born persons who were here before me, especially if you consider that the history of Nigeria-Belgium migration is a pretty recent one. I mean, in the past, Belgians merely passed through this place, on their way to other parts of Europe. I think the early traces of Nigerians settling here in Belgium was, post Biafran War, when Belgium actually gave scholarship to a number of young Nigerians who fought during the Civil War to come and study specifically at the Catholic University of Leuven. That was done through some church arrangement. The vast majority of them went back, soon after studies. As a matter of fact, we heard stories of those of them who, took their final exams, wrote their thesis, defended their thesis, but wouldn't wait for their certificates to be out before they, hurriedly return back to Nigeria to be part of, building or rebuilding a nation. That was then. But then the history of the Congolese, who were former colonies, former colony of Belgium, went far beyond that of Nigerians. But what I noticed when I, first arrived here was that there were, variety of things that were fantastic, but there were also very few things that weren't right. Discrimination on the basis of the color of your skin. Discrimination on the basis of even your accent. Classism and all the rest of them. And I just felt no, this is not right. And as long as they are not addressed, they will continue to persist. And I had just become a young father then. And so I look at my, young son, Tona, at the time, and I said to myself, well, I mean, if then he doesn't become part of the solution to try to, address some of these ills, he will grow up and meet them. And at some point, he will ask the question, Daddy, what were you doing? You met these problems and you didn't, try to solve them. So, well, I started first through organizing, community organizing and all of that. And through that, got a bit of attention, more or less got known. So in the run up to the local election of 2016, I got approached by virtually all the political parties to say, well, Collins, local election is around the corner. We are getting set and, we can offer you a platform as a political party to continue your agitations, your community organizing and all of that, So, well, I wasn't expecting it coming. I had to think about it, consulted my, friends and associates, and, finally I said, yes, why not? I'm going to do it. And that was it. It became successful. And so, as a matter of fact, I was a candidate, an independent candidate on the list of the Green Party. As at the time, I wasn't even a card carrying member of the party. It was after the election that I got registered, got appointed as a spokesperson for social affairs, and more than let's say nearly more than 15 years down the line. I'm still in it now, doing my third term of office.
That's an incredible testimony. I'm very proud. I know that Nigerians are more focused outside the country, and most Nigerians are doing relatively well in UK, in America, and in Europe, around across Europe, and in Belgium. You are one of those Nigerians. In fact, the first Nigerian to make that mark, and that makes us so proud. That has added to our record as Nigerians, as people who are walking the talk when it comes to Africans in diaspora. I'm very proud of that. Thank you, Honorable Nweke. Another one is, as a former chairman of Nigerians in diaspora in Europe, how can remittances from your colleagues to the country be improved? Because I see that as also one of the challenges we have abroad, elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, remittances is significant for Nigeria. I mean, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here, remittances translate to about 85% of federal government budget, which represents approximately just a little over 6% of our gross domestic product. What that says in effect is that pull remittances out of the economy of Nigeria, and we're looking at a country that will be lying belly down, because things are going to collapse. Now, to bring it home to those of us in diaspora, but also those in Nigeria, there is hardly any family that is surviving in Nigeria, and I'm talking of just surviving, not thriving, that does not have someone in diaspora sending money to them from time to time, maybe even regularly, frequently, as the case may be on monthly basis, to take care of aged or aging parents, pay school fees for siblings, or for nephews and nieces, and so on and so forth. Some have even gone as far as adopting, other less privileged people who are no relatives of theirs. So it is a very, very big, money that we're talking about. As a matter of fact, the official figure for 2021, that is the recently available figure, puts remittances at over 25 billion US dollars. And we are talking of just official remittances, because if you add the unofficial ones, just I'm going to Nigeria, some friends come around and say, come on, please, could you take this 100, 500, 1,000 euros to my people? That's not counting it. So if you add that up, we're looking at a figure of well over 40 billion US dollars. It's huge. But the issue is that most of it goes to consumption, just to support, social, issues, feeding, and the rest of them. I think what the country has got to do now is to no longer ignore remittance corridors, to begin to look at how these remittances could be transformed into investment funds, that it begins to yield something. It begins to fund projects, even if it's social enterprises, and so on and so forth. I believe that the CBN, haven't ignored this for way too long, has come up with this initiative of what is it called now? Naira for dollar. Okay. It wasn't a very popular thing, I must tell you, but in the long run, it has proved itself to be something that is positive for the Nigerian economy. I hope that they can now step that further and begin to see how to take initiatives to move remittances from consumption to investment and production.
That's very good. In fact, I'm amazed to hear the tone of money that is being mentioned here. We're talking about 40 billion, around 40 billion US dollars. That is huge. If that is well articulated, it can actually bring investment to the country. If you are not just channeled to direct consumers at home, to assist elderly people and relatives back home and all of that, there's so much financial power that can actually change the financial status of Nigeria if it is well harnessed. Thank you for that information. Okay, Honorable Nweke, before we go on a break, I would like to pose another question to you, and that one is, are you not worried with what you just said now? Are you not worried with the current wave of brain drain in Nigeria? There seems to be a wave of brain drain in Nigeria. How do you feel about that?
Look, I don't want to speak from both sides of my mouth. My straightforward answer to your question is no, I'm not worried. The reason I'm not worried is simple. Migration is as old as the world. People will always migrate, old and young, more of young people anyway, migrating. Now, I think the message has got to be loud and clear that if you want to migrate, you have to have a plan. And you've got to do it through the legal means. I mean, not through going through this Sahara Desert, risking your life on rickety boats and so on and so forth. Because I mean, migration brings a lot of goodies with it. I mean, the last question you posed was about remittances. And I did mention to preface my response to that question that if remittances were to be pulled out of the Nigerian economy, we're looking at a collapsed, economy. So you see, the brains that have been drained from Nigeria, they are one way or the other contributing to the country to actually compensate for their absence from Nigeria. Because yes, there is no running away from the fact that the people, most of the people that have migrated are people at their most productive age, well-educated people, professionals who could have remained in Nigeria to help to build the nation. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But you see, even the most cultivated, thriving economies, people still migrate. The English still migrate to Australia, to New Zealand, to United States of America. Here in Belgium, where I am, young people, go seek greener pastures outside Belgium, other parts of Europe, sometimes to the United States and even the UK. So you see, people will always migrate, but how it is managed is actually the most important thing, because ultimately, the deficit that is created by the brain drain is one way or the other compensated by other positives. For instance, remittances, like I said, but also knowledge and skills transfer. Because let's not forget that some of these people who migrate, some of these professionals, they, retrain or even professionalize, work in the best environments, and so they actually, scale up their skills. Some of them come back, ultimately returning diasporas, to work in Nigeria, bringing back those skills that they had gained. Now, if Nigerian government, is inefficient in managing these diaspora, who are coming back, well, you don't turn around and begin to blame migration for your woes. It is the absence of managing it in such a way that it means something credible, something profitable for the country. So no, I'm not worried about brain drain. It is a natural phenomenon, and it also has its benefits.
Thank you very much. And one of the things I'm taking away before the break is that migration actually is a global phenomenon, and the issue of migration is that the way it is being managed. Why are you leaving the country? What's your plan? So if you are going to go through the desert, it's very risky and it's not encouraging, which most people are doing. Most Africans are engaging in that, and it's highly discouraged. So the best way to do it is to do it through the proper way, the legal means, so that when you get to where you're going, you'll be able to have a plan and have a future, and also contribute to the economy of where you find yourself or you want to call your second home. That is quite interesting. At this point, we would like to go for a break, and when we return, we're going to continue this discussion.
Clevenard In Diaspora Television is an internet online TV service. What sets us apart is a unique combination of hit African content, first and exclusive international free movies, series, musics, news, events, documentaries, tourism, teleshopping shows, youth TV programs, and live interviews. Clevenard Diaspora Television is available throughout sub-Saharan Africa and to the diaspora markets worldwide. Take your entertainment with you wherever you go. Watch on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, smart TV, depending on your device. Watch free movies with Clevenard Movies Television. Stop searching for free movies websites and watch Clevenard Movies Television. Watch your favorite African shows anywhere at any time. Don't forget to check out our top 5 TV channels created to get you informed. TV1, Clevenard In Diaspora Television. TV2, Clevenard Youth Television. TV3, Clevenard Movies Television. TV4, Clevenard Teleshopping Television. TV5, Clevenard Tourism Television. To start watching, sign up at www.clevenard.com and follow the easy steps. Once you're done, log into the Clevenard website or app on your device, click on any one of our 5 TV channels, and hit play. We will be very satisfied and happy to welcome you to our team as one of our new business partners. Contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com.
Okay, viewers, you are welcome back to Clevenard TV. It's AJ and this is iMPACT. Today we have Honorable Nweke on board, and he's been taking us on why they want to take investors to Nigeria, a very important subject this evening. And he's been giving us some tips, and I tell you, it's worth listening. And this evening, we're going to take it further as we have come back from break. Now, my next question to you, Honorable Nweke, is this. What has gone wrong, and how can the situation be addressed in this regard, based on what the last question I just posed to you? What is it that has gone wrong? What has triggered this massive movement from home to different parts of Europe, America, and the rest of the world? Where did we get it wrong?
Well, I think we got our politics wrong. And the moment our politics went wrong, the entire country went down with it. There are no other explanations about it. And so, to get Nigeria back on track, you got to get the politics right. The politics of Nigeria today is populated by the wrong sort of people, and that is because politics in Nigeria has stopped to attract the best of Nigerians and rather attract the worst, because the sort of criminality that goes on there, and I call it criminality because, look at the disparity between the earnings of legislators and, the budget earmarked for social amenities, pro-poor, activities and projects and all of that. That it's inexplicable. You can't explain that disparity. So you see, people have started seeing politics as a means of amassing huge wealth, and that huge wealth not amassed in a legitimate manner. Rather, it is money that is supposed to be used in serving the citizens that a few individuals put back in their pocket and then use it one way or the other to intimidate the same people that they have stolen from. So that was where Nigeria got it wrong. So get the politics right, and Nigeria will be back to the right trajectory.
Thank you. One thing I picked in what you just said is the politics of amassing wealth instead of empowering the people, because that has to do with the philosophy of these politicians, the philosophy that you have to amass wealth to live or to be reckoned with, to be in charge, then you have to live, to take a lead, to show example as a leader. So that has actually contributed to what we have today. Okay, the next question is, would you want to tell Nigerians why your chamber is coming on trade mission from October 16th to 21st, 2022? I think this is the main question we have for you today. So tell us, why will you like to go to Nigeria for such a mission from the 16th of October to 21st of October for this investment expedition, if I may ask?
Thank you, SJ, for that question. I've been very impatient to get that question because I believe all that you asked previously were preambles and yeah, somehow setting the pace. I would say that as a consequence of some of the ills about Nigeria that I had talked about, in your previous question, particularly the last question, Nigeria is seen as a politically unstable economy, and as you know, the one thing that business and investment abhors is instability and uncertainty. Now, that has meant that those who are the majority of people who are foreigners who are investing in Nigeria do so only on short term. People are no longer comfortable in doing long term investments because they are unsure of what is going to happen in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years' time. And it is indeed, the short term investments, don't get me wrong, they are very good for the economy, but the turnaround that the country needs, economically and otherwise, would have to come from the long-term investments from the multinationals, not those that Nigeria already have investing. It is about those who are out there, the foreign direct investors that Nigeria hasn't quite reached. Now, my chamber, where I serve as director of business development, the Belgium Luxembourg Nigeria Chamber of Commerce, we've been, studying the situation very closely, interfacing with businesses here, especially post COVID-19, when there is economic contractions and all of that, and companies, the ones that are actually thriving, and even a few that are struggling, are looking beyond their own national border, even beyond the continental border of Europe, to see where investments survive, fertile investment grounds where they could invest. Now, it will surprise viewers to note that even as bad as Nigeria could be perceived to be, there are quite a lot of things that are going very, very well for Nigeria. For a start, you have a very, very large pool of educated young people that are spread nationwide. And even in places where, there aren't so many of them, Nigerian young people are so very flexible, so very mobile that they are ready to, go take, for example, to Zamfara State. If you set up an agricultural enterprise there, and you need a young man, who was born and raised and schooled in Lagos, for instance, to go to Zamfara to man a farm, they are ready to go there. Tractor technicians, there are engineers who are willing to go to the remotest parts of Nigeria, to work. So investors know this as a fact, and so they are curious. Now take another instance, our labor laws. Now, it leaves quite a lot to desire, and certain things could be changed, but the fact of the matter is that at the moment our labor laws favor investors so very well because of the flexibility. And then think also of the innovation of young people. Look at all that have been happening in the area of fintech. What Nigerians have been doing in data sciences, even artificial intelligence. So the likes of Zuckerberg, who was in Nigeria, he didn't come to Nigeria just by coincidence. These are very, very busy people. For him to decide to spend 1 hour in Nigeria, it means that he is gaining a lot more for that 1 hour that he is spending. So that tells you that Nigeria, actually, there is something in it, but you need people to guide you. You need people to lead you to the country to see things for yourselves, and then make contacts, meet people, and then make that investment decision. That was why when Flanders Investment and Trade (FITS), which is a regional government agency here, decided that they are going to organize this trade mission, listening to our recommendations that we've been making over the years. We thought, yes, we should come all out to support it. And so far, about 30 investors are lined up. This Sunday, we'll be flying to Abuja with them, spend a few days doing business to business, business to government, but also multilateral meetings with International Monetary Fund, for example, World Bank, African Development Bank, and the rest of them, to meet their counterparts, but also see what the financial system is in Nigeria and all of that, and then we'll shift to Lagos. I think from the 18th of October, where we will also spend time meeting business executives, meeting small, medium-sized, even mini enterprises, startups, talking to them and seeing how there could be matchmaking between them and the businesses that are coming along with us, and it represents different sectors, logistics, infrastructure, pharmaceuticals, food, beverages, all of this, agriculture, the whole value chain of agriculture. They are on the on the mission. So it's expected to be a very important eye openers for the investors.
Thank you, Honorable Nweke. I'm so impressed because if you can organize a cohort of businessmen and businesses to go to Nigeria to invest, that means that you believe in Nigeria. It means you believe in Nigeria, and that is quite impressive for me. Irrespective of the current economic woes of Nigeria, there are people out there who still believe in Nigeria and they still believe that we can get it right. So it's something worth commending and very impressive. On that note, do you foresee Nigeria's economy? Do you foresee Nigeria's economy bouncing back? Because I see you believe in Nigeria, you want to invest, you want people to invest, and which means you have a view. You have a view. What's your idea on that view? Because in fact, the question I'm trying to pose, I want you to give us a kind of a view. What do you see that made you to take this kind of step about Nigeria?
Well, for a start, I may be a Belgian at this moment, and working in the public space, being a municipal legislator, helping to change life here, and very grateful to the country for the opportunities given to me, which I'm not sure if I was in Nigeria, I would get the same opportunity. But at the same time, the heart remains in Nigeria. I do not know that I have any other country. I mean, like I said, Belgium remains home, has been home for over 20 years. My two sons were born here. This is home. Of course, they visit Nigeria, and know it as a place where their parents were born. So, managing those two dynamics. I mean, Belgium, where I have become an adult and made something out of my life, and Nigeria. I mean, you can call Belgium my adopted home, and then Nigeria being my country of birth. These two mean a lot to me, and if there is anything that I can do to foster positive relations between the two countries, of course, with all pleasure. And I see these helping to activate trade deals as one of those ways of linking both countries positively. And why Nigeria? Yes, like I said, despite all the woes coming out of there, insecurity as a consequence of Boko Haram and terrorist activities, there are still a lot going on in that country. Just to give you one example, and I will leave it at one example because there are legions of them. Just this morning, the IMF downgraded Nigeria's growth projections for this year by 0.2 percentage points. Now, that means that Nigeria will grow by 3.2 percentage points, as opposed to 3.4 percentage points that had been projected previously. But for Christ's sake, that is still growth. And that is happening in a post-COVID-19 economic environment that has actually meant a crunch for most economies of the world. And by the way, the global average, the global growth average is the same 3.2 percentage points. So what does that tell you? I mean, what conclusion do you draw from that? The conclusion is that Nigeria isn't doing badly economically. I know some cynics somewhere will say, oh, you can blow all these grammars and expound, economic theories for us. Tell that to the young, unemployed, Nigerian or the market woman, who is, struggling to survive, and they are not going to believe you. Yes, I know. But at the same time, that is then up to government to, put in place policies that will then begin to trickle down these, wealth that has been created by businesses. That is not for businesses that are coming on a trade mission to sort out for government. For them, it is about wealth creation. So those are two things that we should not, mix up. So yes, I have abiding faith in the country. And you know what? There is a huge future for those who are willing to be open-minded, come to explore Nigeria, and ultimately make that decision to invest, because those who are investing are reaping the benefit despite the challenges. And one last point on that, before I give the word back to you. There are some feelings that some of the negative stories about the economy of Nigeria and so on and so forth are actually being sponsored by some investors that are already present in Nigeria and making the kill. You know why they do that? Strategically, they do not want others to compete with them in reaping the investment benefits in Nigeria. So they sponsor as many negative stories as possible just to keep others away and make them reap the benefits all by themselves. So one of the things that this trade mission will be doing is putting these investors in the possibility to see things by themselves, ask questions, visit business operations, and assess the environment, and then make that decision. That is where the Belgium Luxembourg Nigerian Chamber of Commerce comes in terms of guiding them, in terms of helping them provide the information upon which the investment decisions will be made.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nweke. You said some few things that actually caught my attention. I'm becoming very much interested in your projects and your mission in Nigeria. Some of the things you say, like the statistics, I like business people who have the stats of what you are doing, and I think this is these are just some of the things that we lack when it comes to our political leaders back home. They actually speak with facts. They just speak with they speak with bogus promises that they don't know where the ends meet. And I think we are changing that narratives. I could see some of the people who are coming out now for leadership who can be able to tell us we younger Nigerians to say, this is exactly the statistics of what is happening here and happening there, and this is how we can fix it. And I'm very happy to hear that from you, that you actually know the figures of how we are growing economically. And one other thing that stood up for me that you said is about the bad news on Nigeria's economy that is being sponsored by some of the investors who are already there. That's a big revelation for me as well, and for our viewers tonight. It's something to still talk about maybe some other time. Very interesting. But at this point, I think we need to go for a break. When we return, then we'll look at the rest of the questions.
Hello there. Looking for an African movie? Search no further. Clevenard African Movies TV is here for you. We are dedicated to the acceleration of African films, TV series, documentaries, and lots more. Explore our movies at home or on the go. Clevenard Movies is free to watch on Clevenard.com. Don't miss this opportunity. Hurry now. Sign up and subscribe today.
Okay, here we are again. We are back. Viewers, welcome back. This is Clevenard TV and it's Impact with HJ. And we still have on board Honorable Collins Nweke, a Nigerian-born Belgian and a politician, for that matter, who is on the hot seat tonight, telling us what it is, giving us the figures as it is. So at this point, I want to ask you a very important question. Looking at the condition of Nigeria at this point. Since you are a politician in Belgium, what will you be telling Nigerians as we approach 2023 election? This is very important.
Yeah. Many people literally hung up on Nigeria because they didn't believe that politics meant anything positive in their life, and that their involvement by way of voting, that it ever counts. Now, I was shocked when I had conversations with some highly educated, well-exposed individuals who told me that it makes no sense for them to actually register for the PVC because, number one, you spend the whole day trying to do that, and then number two, when you finally manage to register on the election day itself, you basically spend the whole day as well. And in the end, what happens? You're not even sure that your vote is going to count. So they simply hung up. Now, what we have seen in the last months is that people's faith in politics, in the politics of Nigeria, is being rekindled. It is being rekindled. I mean, the evidence to prove that, it's not, the statistics didn't come from me, but Inec, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has told us that there is a massive increase in voter registration. And when they did further analysis of, the voters' pyramid, they found that at the top of that pyramid are mainly young people. Now, don't take their words by it. Just look around you, what is happening in the social media, first and foremost, and then ultimately in the streets of Nigeria, where young people who made their first attempt to get their voice be heard in a manner that is uncommon through the NSAS movement and how they were molded down, just like that. Now they have regrouped. They didn't go nowhere. They are regrouping now and being more vocal about taking back their lives in their hands, and that means taking back Nigeria. Now, that tells you that there is something that they have seen, and they are actually stopping at nothing to ensure that they not only make their voices heard, but that they will vote and they will insist that their votes be counted. Now, let's not forget also that INEC hasn't quite sat idle. There have been series of reforms. The electronic transfer, and we all witnessed the battle. But the battle was eventually won. Well, hopefully that will stay that way. That electronic transmission of results will be, a reality. Or consider also the off-season elections that have taken place. I mean, we can look at three major off-season elections. We look at Edo State, we look at Anambra State, we look at Ekiti, and then, of course, not to forget Osun State. These are four off-season elections that have things to tell us. Things to tell us in terms of the speed of delivery of results, the powerlessness of the incumbent. You could see that in both Edo and Osun, where it is no longer so that incumbency will be misused to actually buy and seize the power, buy and seize the election. Now, there are things also to be worried about because there are proven allegations of, both vote buying and voter intimidation in Ekiti State, to be specific. So, is it now Uhuru? No, certainly not. There are still things to be worried about the elections in Nigeria. But you see, the young people have woken up, and I think it is impossible to ignore their voices. And then one last point about that, and that is the fact that these young people that are carrying out their well-organized, silent revolution, they are spending their money to do this for Christ's sake. In the past, people would wait to be sponsored to be able to do political rallies, political campaigns, and all of that. Now they are dipping into their savings to be able to, carry these things out. Now you ask yourself, the previous phenomenon of yesteryears, where political figures actually coerce these young people with money to be able to commit electoral atrocities and to actually buy their vote, do you think that a young man who is spending his money to carry out rallies is going to be in a position to accept those money? So you see, I tell you something, it looks like the days of those who believe that they could steal Nigeria's commonwealth, put them in the pocket, and then turn around, use it to intimidate the same Nigerians, their days are numbered. And it will not surprise me if some of them actually go on exile, because Nigeria may not accommodate them anymore. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for a better politics for Nigeria, and that means a better life, for all Nigerians eventually.
Thank you very much for that response. One thing I picked up, and I also want to say, just to add something to that, is that of Inec transformation. Yeah, there had been some transformation in INEC, but we hope that that level of transformation will translate into transparency, because that's all Nigerians are expecting. And at this point, we should be the advocate of new Nigeria. Looking back over the years, what we have seen, we have not really tested leadership in Nigeria, the leadership everyone wants to see. So at this point, I don't think anybody can really undermine the youth, like you rightly said. And the way things are going, at this point, we can actually say that it will be impossible for anybody to override the wishes of the youth at this point. They've taken over Nigeria. Just on the 1st of October, 19 states in Nigeria stood still and said, we are taking our nation back. So who actually is going to do the voting is one man per vote. So the old politicians in Nigeria need to come to a point where they will tell themselves, we've lost it, let's give this people a chance. Because in come 2023, we don't expect anything less than a change in Nigeria. And that means a change of government, something new. That's what we expected in Nigeria. From what you have seen already, we all look up to you, Nigeria. There is hope. Okay, at that point, let me leave it there. Before we go, I want you to give us a picture of Africa of your dream. But you live in Nigeria, so you will also live in Africa.
Yes, indeed, SJ. I call myself an unrepentant proponent of African unity. Some would want to describe that as being, Pan-African. Now, Nigeria within Africa is doing pretty well, but Nigeria would do much better in an expanded African market, and that is why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that has kicked in is something that makes me very, very happy because it, from the figures that I have read, I've seen here and there, by the time I am 70 years of age, and that will be in the year 2035, it is projected that if all indicators remain the same, if Africa, continues to follow the rules laid down by the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, that a minimum of 50 million people will be lifted out of poverty. I mean, you can only envision, you can only imagine what that means. And then the earning power is actually projected for women to rise by 11% by 2025. And by men, that will be 9%. Envision what that means. What that means essentially is that when I'm 70 years old in 2035, we will not be talking anymore about brain drain. We will be talking about brain gain, because Africans wouldn't have any need anymore to be, risking their lives, traveling through the Sahara Desert and so on and so forth, because the earning powers would have increased. Many people would have been lifted out of poverty. The only thing for that to happen is that all the arrangements made around increase in innovation, intellectual capital, and all of that have got to be pursued very, very vigorously. And now Africa doesn't have room to begin to dilly-dally, because the situation at the moment is there, and the larger African story is actually, the direction that Africa should be heading, so that ultimately it will be the continent of hopes, continent of opportunities, given that the countries of the Western Alliance are actually economically saturated, whereas Africa is still, a virgin continent, and that's where all investments should be going. And then the balance of power, the balance in the economic equilibrium will also be positively affected.
Thank you, Honorable Nweke. I am very impressed, and I can't be more proud than I am right now as a Nigerian to see that we have a Nigerian, not just to have a Nigerian, the first of its kind in Belgium, faraway Belgian who is doing excellently well in politics. And you've taken us through a whole lot this evening, and we are about to wrap it up now. For our viewers, it's interesting to know that we have on board this evening Honorable Collins Nweke. Honorable Collins Nweke is a Nigerian-born Belgian politician. I can at this moment I can refer you. I can say you are a political juggernaut. Let me use that word from how you've been analyzing issues. So quite impressive. And he's also the director of he's the director of BLL. BLL, that is Belgium Luxembourg Nigeria Chamber of Commerce. So he's been taking us through a whole lot of issues this evening. Quite impressive. Finally, what do you have to tell our viewers before we go?
Well, keep at it, viewers. Cleveland TV in Diaspora is proving itself to be, one of the young, dynamic media houses that is, growing by the day, and they are growing because of you. I'm impressed at the fact that you have given them the chance, and keep at it, and you can only expect to see incremental movements in the area of quality viewership. So keep it up. Thank you so very much for having me.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Nweke. Thank you for coming, for honoring this invitation. We are quite impressed to have you this evening. You've said it all, and we look forward to having you again in subsequent times. For our viewers, it's Clevenard TV. Thank you for staying with us. Until we come again, it's SJ on iMPACT, still on Clevenard. So see you next time and have a good evening. Bye.